And Mary's saying she's preparing her dinner, and we have to get through to her that she'll have to have her dinner in the middle of the day. Oh, Naheed is with us.
Okay. Karen and Billy says it's your night, Noel. I'm not too sure what that's referring to. Maybe I missed something there. I hope it is. I hope it is, Karen and Billy. I hope you're right. Go out and buy a lottery ticket now if my night. Hi from Naples, Florida, USA. Very good.
Wow.
Pitta, yeah.
Ashling, welcome. Did you let Naheed in, Noel?
Oh, Dr. Brennan, give me a chance there. Stop cracking the whip there. I'm okay, Naheed, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Dr. Brennan's very, very concerned about you there, that I wasn't unmuting.
Thank you, Dr. Brennan.
Yes, Naheed. I know the way he likes to silence us at times.
Yeah, well, you got the power, you know.
Hi, Dr. Rajvinder.
Hello, Dr. Naheed. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yes, good.
Is boiling water in the kettle same as pot, as it just takes 2 minutes to boil in the kettle? Yeah, but if you boiling water, especially for kapha, boil it for 10 minutes, gives a lot more energy and lightness. It's much more effective as a cleanser in the body.
Yeah, someone asked about boiling it in the kettle. It's very difficult to boil it for 10 minutes in a kettle, so you use a pot, you know.
Dry scale skin for extremity dryness is a Vata quality, Vata dosha. So tonight should be interesting.
Yeah, that's what we're covering tonight. Vata, the king of the doshas. So.
And Sonia, thank you for Happy Thursday, lesson 2. Is dairy milk better to make golden milk rather than plant-based milk to help sleep? Thank you. Dairy milk, if you can tolerate it, is better, because dairy milk contains tryptophan, and tryptophan will be turned by your body into serotonin, and serotonin sends you off to sleep with the angels. What are your thoughts about dairy? Tina, very good question. Only the problem is industrial production of dairy. Ayurveda would have had immense reverence for the cow, and the cow would have been incredibly well treated. The calf would not have been removed from the cow after a couple of days. The cow would not have been milked through pregnancy or forced to be providing milk during its pregnancy. And so all of these features mean that the dairy that we get may not be quite the same. And lots of people have problem with dairies for the industrial production reasons, but also because they don't know how to take dairy. Milk should always be boiled. We know that with children, but we forget it when children are grown up. Milk should always be boiled. It should never be mixed with mixed tastes. It shouldn't be taken with vegetables or fruits. It could be taken with grains because it can take with the sweet taste. But you know, the milk is curdled even before it reaches your stomach with these other tastes. And then cheese and yogurt are very heavy to digest. Yogurt we make a lassi from and have it with lunch. So we dilute the natural live yogurt, and it becomes an incredible good food then. Dilute it and flavor to make it into a nice drink with rose water and honey and cardamom or something like that. So that's the way to take yogurt. Cheese is very heavy to digest, and it should be small amounts at midday. Softer cheeses will be easier to digest. And then there's the Vata Pitta Kapha elements, better for Vata and Pitta than Kapha dairy.
Is there a difference between a stainless steel, copper, or a silver tongue scraper? All are metal. Just the difference is that Ayurveda has given preferences to more to silver, and then copper, and then stainless steel. Whether you use any of them, it's a matter of that you're just scraping it out, whatever you like. That's all fine.
There's a difference in price, that's for sure.
But, yeah, a difference in price.
But they're all good. Silver is meant to be good for pitta, you know. So.
No, you would be very jealous of Karen. She was out today with her boyfriend in the mountains.
I saw that one, yeah.
She's wanted. What are your thoughts on gluten-free bread versus white bread? I don't like white bread. I don't like anything processed. Gluten-free bread. I wonder just was there a chemical processing to get it gluten-free? So if you could, if it's wholesome in terms of natural whole grain foods, somehow or another, how did they get rid of the gluten out of it? I don't know. Hard to comment.
Yeah, what about is there flours for chapatis, Dr. Rajvinder, that don't have gluten in them?
Yeah, gluten-free flours are perfect. If you can get nowadays, you can get sourdough buckwheat bread, brilliant in the farmers market. And so buckwheat, millet, or what else is? I think there's one more that
Are
people
they
normally use.
naturally gluten-free? They don't have to
Yeah, they're naturally
be. Yeah,
gluten-free.
okay. So that's what to go for.
Yeah,
Natural
yeah.
gluten-free
Spelt
flours.
is not, spelt is not gluten-free. Spelt has gluten. So if you're looking for gluten-free, then you go for buckwheat, millet. So that is the two options there.
And then learn how to make your own bread, chapatis from them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Question there, your thoughts about COVID-19 vaccines?
Oh my God.
There we go. There we
Nobody
go.
answer anything. Everybody switch off your computers quick.
Thing is, there for me there may be a deal breaker on the way, because we are using untried technologies for current vaccines, and that just always leaves a doubt or a wonder. But by August or the autumn, there'll be a new vaccine out, which is a whole virus attenuated, which means rather than use a bit of spike protein and sort of genetically modify things, they're using a virus, and that's the same sort of technology that produced all our previous vaccines. And so personally, I'd hold on, and I'd prefer something that's had decades of use. So that's also, that one would deal with any possible um, uh, variant, because it's not just a little bit of spike protein, it's the whole virus. So it would be a vaccine against all variants. So I think that one for me is a deal breaker. Thing is, you have to make up your own mind. There's risks with getting COVID, and there's risks which are, downplayed a lot in terms of the vaccine. And you just have to weigh it up yourself and make your decision. I mean, if you're just feel it's better for you to have the vaccine, I would agree to go for it. And if you feel you wanted to hold on, that's your choice.
And tell me this, Don, what's that one you're talking about? Is that the Johnson & Johnson one?
No, it's a different one. I forget the name of it now. I just heard them on about it, but I knew it was in the pipeline. I had read that it was coming.
Okay. But I think the Johnson & Johnson one is a piece of the virus as well. Is it? Maybe I'm completely wrong.
No, the same technology. No,
it's mRNA, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a very, very tricky subject. Everybody just has to research it, make up their mind for themselves. I know people very strong on both sides of the arguments, but it's just, just make up your own mind really is the thing to do, And Boris mentioned there will be tablets or caps too. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that, but anyway, could be anything.
Karen and Billy, how long after a meal do you have lassi? Karen and Billy, lassi you can have with lunch, with the meal. It's the only, when eating, Ayurveda says we shouldn't really be drinking. We should have our drinks away from meals so as not to dilute our juices, except to sip hot water during a meal serves a function of the hot water stimulates the digestion. It also keeps clearing the taste buds. And taste is very, very important when you're eating. It's a subjective processing in your awareness of the intelligence of the food. And so the sipping hot water with meals is ideal. And then the other thing that's mentioned is with lunch, a nice lassi is a very helpful for digestion.
Okay, I think it's time we started our video. So this lesson we're talking about Vata. We know from the last lesson there's three main doshas: Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Vata is the king of the doshas. It's made of air and space. It's the one that moves. It leads all the other doshas. It's responsible for the most amount of imbalances when it goes out of balance. It also drags the other doshas out of balance. So the three doctors give their perspective on the dosha Vata. So we're going to find out all about Vata today. So I'm just going to share the screen, and let's see. Wrong one. Here we go. So we'll start, and maybe, I don't know, maybe if you want to switch off your cameras till we go back on. Discussing one of the main doshas called Vata. As we discussed in our opening lecture, there are 5. Okay, so actually, yeah, if you want to switch off your cameras just while this plays, because I think it increases the quality of it, and then we can switch them back on when we come back to the live Q&A. Okay, everybody, enjoy. We'll see you in a while. Basic elements according to Ayurveda. Okay, sorry, one thing, if we can turn off our cameras while the video is playing, and then we can switch them back on once we go back on live, okay? It seems to have an effect on the quality, all right. So if you just want to switch your camera off, not your screen, obviously, just your camera, and that might make the quality of it a bit better, you know? Okay. Veda, earth, air, fire, water, and space. And they combine together to form what are called the 3 doshas. And one of the principal doshas is called Vata. And Vata is made of air and space. And that's what we're going to be concentrating on today and focusing on today. So I'm going to start off by bringing in Dr. Don Brennan, who you all know from our previous lesson. So Don, I'm going to start off with you today, and just maybe you can give us your views on Vata. And one of the things would be that Vata is considered one of the most important doshas of the 3 doshas. So why would that be? Why would it be considered the most important?
Because Vata is the most fundamental. We have talked about how our most fundamental reality is at the basis of the mind, that silent witness or consciousness. And we described that creates, constructs, becomes the physical structure. And so the first movement is prana. Prana means first, ana is movement. So you have a silent witness now beginning to move. And that prana is the impulse of evolution, of manifestation of the form. So prana comes up, comes lively, and in its turn gives rise to fine feelings, and then mind, and then ultimately the physical structure. And in that process, the senses become lively. And we have 5 senses, so that ultimately, when it comes to the physical structure, that one prana actually manifests then in the body as 5 vatas, which Dr. Naheed will be describing to you. And then the whole issue of pitta and kapha, everything is moved in the body by vata, and vata, if it goes out of balance, can disrupt everything. So it's most fundamental and most important that we keep it balanced.
Okay, and I note with interest that, you know, when it comes to diseases and sicknesses, that the majority, that Vata has the majority of diseases associated with it. So it obviously has a very, very important role. And it's interesting that you say that when your Vata goes out of balance, it can lead your other doshas to go out of balance. So what would be the consequences, let's say, because, you know, we live in a very Vata deranging world. There's so much movement going on with TVs and screens and social media and all these things. But what would be the consequences for someone who had a lot of Vata if their Vata was actually in balance in their body?
Oh, if they were beautifully balanced, then the Vata gives rise to a very, very pure mind. They'd be energetic, they'd be adaptable, they'd be flexible, they'd be quick to comprehend, they'd be good communicators, and they'd have strong healing energy as well. Great enthusiasm, positivity. But if they start to go out of balance, it starts to be a rejectic mind or a highly irritated, overactive mind, indecisive, unreliable, agitated, volatile, restless, disturbed. And then if it gets really out of balance, it would be traumatic. Then they become dishonest and secretive and depressed and self-destructive. So that's on the mind. And on the physical side, physically, it gives rise to energy, vitality, enthusiasm. It's to do with inspiration and expiration. So what we give out, what we take in, and it gives creativity, and it gives a very sensitive, refined personality. And so in a positive, Vata gives rise to this wonderful, dynamic, creative, energized, enthusiastic, vibrant person. So it's a lovely reality when we have our balance.
Okay, and so creativity would be a large part of Vata people in some ways. I believe that Vata people can tend to be very creative, and they need to fulfill that creativity.
Absolutely, because when we think of prana as that motivating force of the mind, if that is settled, then the mind settles. And the finest level of mind is feeling. So vatas can be much more intuitive. And that's also why they have more, perhaps, of a healing capacity and a great sensitivity.
Okay.
Whereas pitta is more intellectual. It's more, a little more superficial in reality. So they're more driven by their intellect.
Okay. So what exactly would be the qualities and the functions of vata?
So vata is described in the old texts as being light and quick and moving and cold and dry and rough and irregular. And so those qualities are, expressed very much in a vata physiology, which is very light and very quick, and they tend to dash here and dash there and make gestures and blink and never shut up because their mind is so busy. They talk a lot, so they think a lot, they talk a lot, they move a lot, they make gestures, they blink, and it's all very fast. They can tend to be irregular, erratic. Sometimes they're tired, sometimes they're energized. It's an erratic tendency in vata. So they're light, they're quick to pick up information, quick to forget, quick thinking, quick talking. They have the qualities of dryness and roughness. So you may see that in their skin, it could be dry or rough. Or there may be a tendency for sort of muscle joints to dry up, So the vata, therefore, does very, very well with the opposite qualities. The qualities of slow, stable, solid, oily. Another vata quality is cold, which is why they like the warmth. Oh. So those qualities predominant would give that sort of a nature. And that sort of a nature then, for balance, would need opposite qualities. Routine, regularity, as Dr. Rajvinder will be talking about later on. And Dr. Naheed will be talking about the specific vatas and their function and balance.
Okay, so we see that vata is made of air and space. So I suppose when you're describing the qualities of vata, then we're looking at what the qualities of air and space actually are. So we just have to think about air and space. Well, it's very light, it's very ethereal, as you suggested, and also it's moving and it's subject to movement and all those things. So an increase of that lightness is obviously then going to have a corresponding increase in vata. So as you said there, it's the opposites that balance vata. So if someone is in a situation where their vata is gone out of balance, and we're going to discuss that a lot more later on, then we do the opposite of the qualities of that dosha to bring that dosha back into balance. And that applies for all the doshas, I suppose. So if someone is very pitta, which is obviously a hot dosha, then we do the opposites to bring that back into balance, which is why maybe going for a swim is a very good thing for a pitta person to do, and maybe for a vata person to do. I would assume then that meditation must be really good for vata people.
Oh, very much so, because the real meditation is the settling of prana. And when the settling of prana happens, we go more and more within to finer and finer levels of the mind. And if the prana stills, then our awareness, our consciousness is still. And then we see ourselves. Then our awareness awakens to the conscious reality at the basis of the mind, to the reality that we are ultimately consciousness. And it's when that comes out under the impulse of prana that in order to manifest, it finds expression through five senses and the five elements. And as you point out, the elements associated with the sense of hearing and touch are the air and space elements, which combine to make for the movement dynamics of vata working in mind and body. If we rush around and if we're tired and we're stressed and if we're strained and if our routine is irregular and if we travel a lot, then obviously we're imbibing more of those qualities, which is actually making the whole system of mind and body more and more active. And the more active then the less integrated. And that's why Vata is so fundamental, because keeping it balanced keeps us back towards our innate natural template of health and balance. Whereas getting more and more excited is moving us away. It's like entropy, which is disturbing the order. And so we need to have routine, we need to have regularity, we need to have a good an oil massage is brilliant, but Rajvinder will be talking about those things.
Okay. So there's probably people out there now, they've maybe looked at, we know that we described some of the doshas in the first lesson. They've maybe done the test on our website to give them an idea of what their dosha is, a beginning idea of it. So what would be how would you recognize that, you have a patient coming into you for a consultation? I mean, how would people recognize within themselves, or how would you recognize within another person that they had a lot of Vata within them, that they had a strong amount of Vata in them?
You probably see it from the first moment. Hyperactivity, very busy, fast pace of speaking, a lot of movement, gesturing, a mind that's very, very quick moving. And when you think of the function and the qualities of Vata, you can quickly understand the imbalance, because imbalance is discomfort, it's unease. We're naturally attuned to feeling good when we're integrated and balanced. And the feelings of discomfort are our innate wisdom informing us of going out of balance. So the sort of complaints, anything from movement, it could be a stroke, it could be Parkinson's disease, it could be a lightness or thinness of bones like osteoporosis. So you see the qualities there. It could be constipation, because that's a movement problem. It could be wind bloating, So there's so many features that from the story alone would give you the indication of the degree of balance and imbalance someone's experiencing, from looking at them, from feeling the pulse, so you can very simply recognize. And the good thing about Vata, it's quick, it's very fast, so it goes out of balance, but it often can come back to balance relatively quickly. And if anybody at this stage is trying to define whether they're Vata, Pitta and Kapha, it's a bit early in the course, they should hear the Pitta lecture and the Kapha lecture, and then we can bring it together into a constitutional nature and a more holistic point of view.
Okay, Dr. Brennan, that's fantastic. I'm going to call on Dr. Naheed, and Dr. Naheed is going to talk about where Vata is located in the body. As we know, with all the doshas, there are sub-doshas, so they're not just responsible for one set of tissues or organs, they can be responsible for many different sets of tissues and organ systems in the body. So Dr. Naheed is going to talk about where these are located and what can happen when they go out of balance in those particular areas. So Dr. Naheed, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you, Noel. So there are 5 subtypes of Vata doshas, and each subtype has their assigned functions, and they are located in different parts of our body. So the first one, which is located in the head and which usually moves around the chest, throat, and in our mind and heart, that's called Prana. So what does Prana do? Prana means life. So what does it do is it helps in the sensory perception, it helps in deglution of our food, it helps in inhaling. And when they go out of balance, what they do is they produce cough, they produce hiccups, they produces flatulence, they cause breathing difficulties like shortness of breath, or maybe any wheezing kind of problem. And as they are located in the mind and heart, so when they get aggravated, they produces a kind of confusion. So, and why they get out of balance is because of stress and lack of sleep. So you must have heard that Vata goes out of balance when you don't sleep properly. So that's your Prana Vata, which goes out of balance when you don't sleep on time. The second one is Udana. Udana is located in the chest, and it moves in around the nose, in the umbilicus, and in the throat. What they do is they help us, like when I'm talking, my Udana Vata is helping me to speak up. That helps in the breathing, especially in exhaling our breath. They also help in memory, efforts, our enthusiasm, our strength, and that also helps to maintain a complexion along with the Ranjak Pitta. So what happens when they go out of balance? They also create breathing issues. They bring tightness in the chest, and there can be occasional congestion in your nose, and as they reside in the throat as well, so there can be discomfort in your throat, there can be harshness of your voice, and people can be, indecisive. They are not able to express themselves. Why they go out of balance? Because of too much of exposure to cold, eating too much of raw foods and dry fruits, that can lead to your Udana Vata goes out of balance. The third one is Samana Vata. So where Samana Vata is located is just below your chest and above your umbilicus. So all the organs which are present, like the liver, like the stomach, like pancreas, and every organs which are there, they move. The Samana Vata moves in all the viscera and all the organs. So what they do is they help in digestion, the Samana Vata, along with Pitta and the Agni. And not only digestion, what they do is it helps to separate the essence, the good things which we require to make our tissues, and it separates our waste from the good nutrients. And when they go out of balance, what they do is, because digestive imbalance like indigestion, like malabsorptions, like diarrhea and occasional constipation. So those who are suffering with constipation issues, so it's this Samana Vata which has got out of balance, and they can produce bloating, gas, and sometimes leaky gut as well. The fourth one is Vyanavata. So there is a speciality about Vyanavata. It's that it's present all over the body. So whatever movement which we are doing, whether we are bending our neck or just rotating our head, either we are walking, talking, or any, the sensory and the motor responses which we are doing, and our muscle contractions, our muscle relaxations. So all this is done by Vyanavata. So what happens when the Vyanavata goes out of balance? They produce cramping in the muscles. You can be like having increased or decreased heart rate, and they can produce anxiousness, tremors, and also blood pressure issues. And the fifth one and the last one, which is Apana Vata. So where is Apana Vata situated? It is situated below the umbilicus, in the pelvic region of our body. So everything which is happening below our umbilicus, that takes place because of Apana Vata. So whether it's our defecation, it's our urination, it's our menstruation, or whether it's giving birth to a baby, or it's ejaculation, everything takes place in our body in accordance with the Apana Vata. So what happens when your Apana Vata goes out of balance? They will definitely going to produce painful micturations. They can be constipations. There can be overreactive bladder. You're not able to hold your urine, like it happens in some situation. You can have menstrual issues, like you're not getting your period on time, or maybe you're getting too much of periods. And most like in certain ladies, like in few ladies, there is a habitual abortion, so kind of miscarriage kind of thing. So it's when their Apana Vata goes out of balance. So this is it from my end on the subtypes of Vata dosha.
Okay, Dr. Naheed, so that's fantastic. It gives a very deeper understanding of the whole thing. So in reality then, when someone is actually going for a consultation with an Ayurvedic doctor, the doctor is analyzing them based on, their look and their speech, and maybe doing pulse diagnosis, and then obviously speaking to the patient as well. But then, you're not just seeing that the person's Vata is out of balance, you're seeing which of the subdoshas of the Vata is actually out of balance. And then I presume then there's all different techniques and medications and procedures that you use to work on that particular subdosha, to bring that subdosha back into balance.
Absolutely. That's really important to know, like which subdosha is responsible, because Ayurveda text has explained the timing of the doses. Like if your Udan Vata goes out of balance, then at what time you need to have your medicine, whether it will be before meal or after meal, and that definitely help us to choose a particular herbal which can bring balance that particular subtype of Vata dosha. So from clinical point of view, the knowledge of sub doshas is very important to get into a correct diagnosis and with the proper medication and herbal supplements.
Okay, and I was saying earlier on at the start of the talk that Vata has, it's also one of the major doshas, it's the king of the doshas, but out of balance, I think it also causes some of the biggest problems. It's got the biggest amount of diseases associated with it. Is that correct?
Of course. So it has explained that just because Vata goes out of balance, there can be 80 types of disease can happen in the body. There can be 80 different types of health problems in the body. Some of the major issues like motor neuron disease, all this osteoarthritis, bone-related disorders like Parkinsonism. So these are the major issues which happens, when your Vata goes out of balance.
Okay, and it must be very, very relevant to ladies, really, because like the menstrual cycle is all to do with movement, and the birth of children is to do with movement. So Vata must play a very big role in women's health.
Yes, it definitely plays a very good role. So the ladies who are Vata, whose body type is Vata, and if their Vata is not in balance, then what happens? They suffer with a lot of dysmenorrhea. So dysmenorrhea is the menstrual, like when you get your menstruation, there is a pain, cramp in your pelvic region, and there is delayed menstruation. They don't get their period on time, and in some ladies it can be a prolonged kind of period, so it lasts for around 10 to 12 days. So of course Apana is very, very responsible doshas for a women's health.
So women who are experiencing period problems, or maybe finding it very difficult to conceive and all these things, or irregular periods, definitely to take a look at their Vata would be a major area there.
Yes, of course.
Okay, Dr. Naheed, that was incredibly informative, so thanks very much for that. I could hear the cars beeping in the background there, so Dr. Naheed is actually joining us from India at the moment. We're doing this recording in India, so hopefully you'll be back in Ireland soon, but thanks a million for that, Dr. Naheed. Dr. Brennan, is there anything you wanted to add to that before we turn to Dr. Rajvinder?
I think that was very eloquent, very, very clearly put. And it does give an insight into another layer or level of Ayurveda that starts to give insight into how sublime it is, really. So we see the various locations and functions of the different Vatas and their imbalance and how to balance them. So that was lovely, Dr. Naheed. Thank you very much.
Okay, so now we're going to... Here we go. Now we're going to turn to Dr. Rajvinder. Many of you know Dr. Rajvinder. She's an Ayurvedic doctor that practices Ayurveda in Lucan in County Dublin. She's been with us in the Ayurveda Centre since 2007, so she's got lots and lots of experience of people coming into her with different complaints and issues. So Dr. Rajvinder, we're talking about Vata here today. And just from a practical basis, what are the types of Vata conditions that people are coming into you with, and what are the general recommendations you make for Vata people?
Okay, thank you, Noel. So as you heard about Vata from Dr. Brennan and Dr. Naheed, Vata is a dosha that has the quality of air is like dry, light, and cold. So Vata people normally complain of cold hands and cold feet and low blood circulation and low blood pressure, low blood glucose, feeling dizzy. And because of that, their energy levels could be very kind of up and down. And so the other quality of Vata is quick and irregular. So the quickness is their mind. There's a lot of thoughts. Vata say, oh, I cannot quieten my mind. The thoughts goes in circle and over in their head. And then irregularity. Vata people find it very difficult to stick to routine. So because of that, their bowel movement is all over the place. Could be morning, could be evening, constipation, IBS, kind of irregular, kind of irritable bowel, bloating could be there. So fatigue is one of the chronic Vata condition if Vata is out of balance. And then because Vata is the movement, so anything that moves in the body is because of the Vata. So circulation is the movement of blood. So circulatory related problems like low blood pressure, high blood pressure, anxiety is a big one. Vata people are natural warrior. They worry a lot. The small little things stir their mind a bit too much. And because of the active mind, their sleep is not good. So insomnia is a big one in Vata. So constipation, insomnia, memory, energy levels are down, tiredness, fatigue, and arthritis, joint pain, back pain, all these are Vata conditions. So yeah, so Vata kind of could have a lot of movement issues. So stiff in the morning or constipation or hungry, sometimes not hungry. All these are Vata problems, yeah.
Okay. So that irregularity seems to be coming through there and the coldness and the dryness. So I take it as usual with Ayurveda, we're looking at doing the opposite things to bring this back into balance. So what would be some of the, big recommendations that you would be making for Vata people?
Okay, because of the quickness, Vata people could be very quick to make decisions, so they take on board too much. So it's difficult for them to say no. They say yes they get excited very quickly, and they can take on too much on board out of their potential, and then later on they struggle to meet the deadline. So first thing, Vata need to slow down a little bit. So Vata need to ground themselves. And if Vata people are doing too much of physical activity, like too much of intense cardio or running or jogging, they need to go moderation. So slow pace exercises like Hatha yoga, Pranayama, breathing exercises are very good for Vata people. And so when you're doing your yoga practice, focus on your breath a bit more and maybe do the Pranayama longer. So grounding your mind, grounding your nervous system is very important because your nervous system is controlled by the Vata. And the second is regular meals. Don't skip your meal, have your breakfast, have your lunch, and have your dinner. And third thing is a good quality sleep. Vata people really benefit from going to bed early and have a proper sleep. Vata people are very sensitive people, so they might wake up in the middle of the night, they may be dreaming, but don't panic, just go back to the sleep. So those three pillars, good sleep, good food, and a good kind of moderate amount of exercise. And the oil massage is another one because oil has the quality opposite to the quality of air, light, dry, and cold. So warm oil massage is very grounding, and warm water, warm herbal teas are other way to deal with Vata.
Okay, I know Abhyangas tend to be really, really good for Vata people because that oil is very unctuous and it's also warm. And I've heard from people I have quite a bit of Vata in me as well, but I wouldn't be predominantly Vata. But I know some predominantly Vata people, and they just love doing the Abhyanga with the warm oil. But it has to be warm oil, and the room that they're doing it in has to be warm as well, because cold is obviously going to unsettle Vatas very, very quickly, So sesame oil is a good oil for Vata people?
Yes, sesame oil is very good oil for Vata, and we have a very nice blend called Vata massage oil because, as I said, Vata people mind is busy all the time, so it's very difficult for them to bring their mind into center, into the present situation, into the right now. So the best way to deal with that problem is through the senses, through the aroma oils. So for Vata people, smelling nice aroma oils. For example, we have a blend called Vata aroma oil, which is fennel, lavender, lemongrass. It's very settling blend for Vata people. So that's what I ask my patients to wear aroma oil on your wrist, or before you go to sleep, smell some aroma oil. So sesame oil mixed with Vata aroma oil. Otherwise, the blend Vata massage oil is nice because nose is the gateway to your brain. So that's where you can get your nervous system.
Okay. Now, when it comes to food, we have the 6 tastes that we have. So which of those tastes is going to be good for Vata, settling for Vata people?
Okay, the 6 tastes like sweet, sour, salty, and the pungent, bitter, and estrogen. So the first 3 tastes, sweet, sour, and salty, are very good taste for Vata people because they have moisture in them, so they are not very drying. And the second, they are grounding, heavy tastes, so they are good to balance the light element of Vata. And so the sweet, salty, and naturally occurring in the foods like rice and wheat and grains are naturally sweet, and good quality unrefined salt, and the sour kind of fruits and vegetables. These are more kind of balancing for Vata people.
Okay, and I take it then that also because Vata is cold in nature, that, you know, I take it that things like salads and cold pasta and cold food is going to be quite aggravating for Vata. And really Vata people, especially in the Vata season, which is the autumn time of the year, I mean, nice warm soups and nice warm meals with a bit of heaviness to them is going to benefit them.
Absolutely. Vata people, because that is the cold is one of the quality of the air. When you go out, you feel cold, you don't really want to get out. So that's where you don't really want to put the cold food in your gut, because your gut is going to get that shock as you get it when you go into the cold weather. So Vata people benefit a lot from warm cooked meals with mild spices. So if you're new to the spices, just use the blend called Vata Churna in your food, and healthy fats like cooking with the ghee, coconut oil, so good quality fat in your diet, and warm meals. So try to avoid salads and leftovers and cold food as much as possible. So be more sad, yeah.
Okay. And then one thing that I notice a lot now is to do with exercise. And I kind of have an issue over exercise nowadays, because it seems to me that people either do no exercise or they do too much exercise. And I notice from the TV and programs that there's this thing about, you know, pushing yourself to your limits and, you know, doing really extreme exercises. Like I look at things like Ireland's Fittest Family, and I mean, I don't really relate fitness to health. And I think from a Vata point of view, what level of exercise is good for a Vata person?
Vata really benefit from, as I said earlier, gentle exercises. So Vata shouldn't go for like 10K, 5K, that kind of run. It's extreme. When you're young, you do it, but you later on, I see that in my patients, the pattern, later on, it shows up in your body, either osteoporosis or back pain or arthritis. Something will come up in the physiology. So that's what Ayurveda is there, to give you that knowledge, to educate you about your body type, about your vulnerabilities. So be moderate. Vata should always be in kind of on the gentle side. So as I was saying about the breathing, because Vata is nervous system. So gentle yoga exercises are more benefit. A brisk walk is good, or a gentle jog. That's it. But don't push yourself out of your potential. I see that in the young girls when they are doing those 10K run or way too much of weightlifting and exercise, their hormones are all over the place. They lose their periods, or they lose their sleep and things. I see that in one patient particularly, like I gave her some herbs as well, but just asking her to reduce the amount of exercises, the running she was doing. And when she did that, her periods immediately kind of came back. So you need to be more kind of sensible about your body type and what kind of workouts you do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, Vata is movement anyway, so there's all that movement in you already. I remember this woman that I knew, and she was a very Vata person. You could tell by looking at her, very thin frame, very quick moving mind. And then she told me that after work she used to go to a spin class, and I thought, oh my God, this woman is, you know, running around all day and then getting up on the bike and pedaling like mad for an hour or whatever it is. And then she told me she couldn't sleep and she was worried and anxious all the time. And I'm thinking, these are all Vata things, and this spin class is putting your Vata out of balance. Now, sometimes people don't like to hear that because they're into their exercises, they're into the things, but it's this Ayurveda is not about what you like to hear. It's about a perspective on life, really, you know. So I think moderate exercise is very, very good. And, you know, I see professional athletes and professional runners, and I don't equate that to health. And, you know, we see that, you know, professional athletes can have a shorter life expectancy. They have all types of problems when they get older. They have arthritis. They have all different types of issues, you know, when they're, and I'm not saying old, I'm talking about when they're going into their 40s and 50s. So we need to be careful about the level of exercise that we do. No exercise, that's not good, not doing any exercise, but over-exercising, particularly for Vata people. And I probably will be criticized for saying this, but I feel particularly for women as well, that I think the possibilities of going very far out of balance for women doing extreme exercise is possibly the damage could be more than for men in relation to obviously things like periods and fertility and all that. Would that be a fair enough comment to make, Dr.
Oh, absolutely. There is a proper routine when a woman is menstruating. So Ayurveda say for the first 2 days of your cycle, you shouldn't do any heavy work like in the old time, tradition was, even though there is plus and minuses to the tradition, but tradition was women will go in a kind of a quiet place of the house and she will stay there. She wouldn't cook and she wouldn't engage into any activities. So the plus point for that was because your physiology is going through a lot at that time. So you get rest. So you sleep it more and you eat like easy to digest food. Around that time when your Vata is out of balance, that's why you crave a lot of sugary or pizza or chocolates more. But if your Vata is in balance and you're looking after your Vata, you let the physiology, your body does the job, and then you come out of the cycle as a kind of the detox is done, or you're ready for the next phase of your cycle, all the formation of egg and everything. So during the cycle, first few days is better you rest and don't do too much of jogging or running or strong exercises. Yeah.
Okay. So I suppose everybody has to make their own decisions about how they want to live their lives. And certainly TV ads and things like that are pointing women in a completely different direction than taking it easy when they're having their periods. But anyway, we're here to give out Ayurvedic advice, and whether you want to take it or not is up to yourselves, you know. Okay, Dr. Rajvinder, so moderate exercise, plenty of rest for women when they're menstruating, and warm foods and good routine and abhyangas and all those things will help balance Vata. And sorry, Dr. Rajvinder?
Yeah, so Vata people are also, on the plus side of Vata people, are very creative people. So they are naturally artistic, they're naturally healer, they're natural teacher. So it's better for your Vata, for your nervous system, you engage yourself into that kind of activities as well. And when we are talking about the exercise, go into a park, go to a kind of a green area where you walk in the forest, you listen to the birds, you look at the flowers. That's very healing. So that kind of exercise, that kind of nature walk is brilliant for Vata people. So it is like connecting to yourself, and through that you find your balance.
Okay, Dr. Rajvinder. So thanks very much for that. I just want to share my screen here with people before we finish up on this, and I want to bring you to our website, ayurveda.ie, so you can see the spelling of it up there. And if we go over to this menu option, Ayurveda, and we can come down to Vata here. So if you want to read up more about Vata, you can find quite a lot of information there as well about the different subdoshas that Dr. Naheed talked about, and what balances Vata and what imbalances Vata. And then if you want to do your own body type test to give you an idea or maybe of what dosha you are, there's a body type test that you can do there as well, and that'll give you some idea about that. Let's just see. That's okay. Probably the internet's a little slow. Yeah, so you can fill up these things about type of hair, skin, all of these things, you know. Okay, so that's on our website, ayurveda.ie. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our Q&A. We've had our three doctors give a good explanation of the qualities of Vata, so you can start sending your questions in. We will favor questions that are to do with the topic that we've covered today, so Vata conditions or questions you have about, any questions you have about what we spoke about here. However, we will endeavour to answer as many questions as possible regardless of what.
Of practical physical existence that we can use to keep ourselves balanced. Now, as we balance Vata, our prana starts to settle, and as our prana starts to settle, then obviously we are more settled in mind, which allows us to be far more engaged in what we have to do, and even at a deeper level, we start to get more settled in our feelings, and so we have more positive emotions and more capacity to actually connect with and interact with others on a fine feeling level. And ultimately, if we get most integrated, most settled, we actually start to unfold much more of that inner potential and sensitively actually start to manifest our purpose, which is joy and fulfillment and integration in life. And so it's not just having a massage, it's actually knowing all of these things that can influence the whole of our life for better health.
Okay, Dr. Brennan, that's fantastic.
Okay, great. So a little bit of the video thing skipped there a little bit at one stage, you know. Okay, so let's see who's Dr. Rajvinder, you can say something there. Dr. Naheed.
Hello.
Oh, I'm after muting you again, Dr. Rajvinder. You should be unmuted now. So, okay, Let's see. So that's about Vata, a very, very the king of the doshas, as they say, and most, it's the dosha that's got most diseases associated with it, and it's the one that you can see very obvious in life nowadays. All that busyness, and how many people do you know that can't sleep properly, that are suffering from anxiety, that are worrying, that all these things. And as you get older, then all those diseases associated with old age, like dementia and Parkinson's and all of those conditions are Vata conditions. They're all because of an imbalanced Vata. And really the time to start preventing those traditions or those conditions coming about is much earlier in your life. Really, it's the whole way through your life in some ways by maintaining balance. But it really comes out in a big way towards the end part of your life if you haven't kept it in balance, So you can go ahead there, and if there's questions there that you want to ask. Dr. Brennan must be, I'll just unmute him. I'm not too sure. His video's off, so maybe he's out of the room,
Thanks, no.
Oh, there you are. There you are.
So lots of people are recognizing themselves with Vata, and they're already taking some action, which is very good. Well done. That's what we want. You learn and start making little changes. So if you follow some of these advices of eating your main meal in the middle of the day and going to bed on time, because the bowel movement could be related to Vata, and that could be the mind as well. So if you just follow these simple advices and see if things get better. But there's a lot to consider if the bowel movement is very irregular.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is we're coming into the Pitta season now, which is a kind of a good time for Vata people because that heat is coming into the air, and Vatas are cold by nature, and that heat is really, really good for helping to balance that Vata. But if you are real Vata and you recognize a lot of those things, like meditation is a fantastic thing to do. Transcendental meditation is the one I do, but there are many different meditation techniques. And Abhyanga, the oil massage with Vata massage oil or sesame oil, really, really good for Vata people. But recognizing yourself is the most important thing, because if you can recognize what's happening, then you can begin to make changes. But sometimes people don't even recognize themselves. They can't even see that there's an issue. And if you can't see there's an issue, then there's nothing you can do about it. So it's being able to, recognize that there's an issue there, and then that allows you to start doing things about it, There's the one for you, Dr. Rajvinder. I'm not sure what you think with that. Dr. Rajvinder, I've been advised by a chef, Ayurvedic, that it's best to have small portions of food throughout the day instead of 3 meals. Well, it probably depends on what's going on with you, but that wouldn't be general Ayurvedic advice, but maybe for a certain condition. Raj, what do you think?
Yeah, Cam, is sometimes Vata people go through like dizziness and feel very weak and low blood pressure, and they're not able to digest bigger meals. They get bloated and some disturbance in their digestive tract, especially IBS. Then we advise, okay, Vata need more than 3 portions, which is normally advised to Vata. Take small snacks anyway. So yeah, probably your Vaja advise you, give you a good advice to take small portion and regular, and slowly when your digestive system gets better, then you can start taking 3 proper meals. So that's kind of training, retraining, resetting your digestive tract. That's what your Vaja is doing.
Yeah, but it's not general advice,
And one more thing, while I'm saying the word Vaja, somebody saw my name, Vaja Rajvinder, and they said, oh, I'm sorry, your name is Vaja. So Vaja is a term. It's not the name. It's a term for Ayurveda doctor, not to get confused with that.
So, Annabelle asked, what about spelt? Well, spelt is a traditional wheat from this part of the world, and it has a lot less gluten in it. So some people who find they can't eat the wheat that's normally available, which was an import in the 60s from Canada, because it was very high gluten. It was used by the bakers for all the breads and buns, and it's very sticky. So they don't need much raising agent, so it saves no fortune. So some people find that more recently introduced wheat doesn't suit them, and that yet they can handle spelt well. So Lizzie Lyon, what about persistent warts? We would see them as a kapha imbalance, some ama in the skin. We'd need to balance kapha generally and maybe have some skin tonics. Mary Concannon. First, a 1-year-old granddaughter never stops, very lively. She's rough, dry skin. What can you do for her? Mary, massage her. Massage the child every day with oil, almond oil. and she'll love it and you'll love it, and it'll do the child a wonder of good, because your love will be transmitted by the sense of touch more sensitively than any other sense. So your massage. Dora, are Vata people normally slim? Yes, generally Vata people tend to be slim. Mary feels very out of balance all her life. Is it possible to reverse the imbalance? Yes, Mary, it is. Do Vatas thrive in hot climate? Well, if it's too hot, the excess heat will dry you up. So excess heat, no, but nice heat, nice gentle heat would be very nice for Vata. Osteoporosis, how do you treat it? You treat it with gentle exercise. You balance Vata because the excess Vata is wearing down the bones. And then you use foods that are very useful for Vata, and specific foods for bones in Ayurveda, and the use of herbal preparations in Ayurveda. And it works well for osteoporosis. Sorry, Nahid, you were going to say something.
I'm looking at the questions.
Okay. Well, I
Need
keep
a question about the menstruation. Is it Vata? I even texted, but you can elaborate more if you want about the Apana Vata.
Yeah. So menstruation, anything which is going down from the body, whether it's your urination or whether you're passing motions or it's your menstruation, especially your menstruation, is it get happened because of the Apana Vata. So if your Apana Vata gets out of balance, then you can have difficulties with your menstruation. It can be painful, a very painful menstruation. It can be irregular menstruation, or there can be multiple problems with the menstruation. That's why we say that be in a very calm and very like resting kind of phase when you are having your menstruation. And if you find yourself Vata, if you recognize yourself as Vata, do not do exertion a lot, that can bring your Vata out of balance. Do not do any weight lifting kind of exercises, and try to have foods which can balance your Vata. Abhyanga is the best thing you can do in the morning to massage and to bring your Vata in balance. You can do Nasya, you can do oil pulling, you can do breathing exercises, a gentle walk. All these things helps to balance your Vata. And along with that, foods which are sweet like milk, like rice, like wheat, which is sour, like citrus fruits, and like salty, like rock salt. These are the foods which helps to keep your Vata in balance. Try to eat more of these things to keep your Vata in balance and have a very smooth and very nice period. So basically, I am also a Vata Pitta. Sometimes I find myself Pitta Vata. So, but I never had a problem with my period ever. Like it's always regular, it's always on time. Sometimes a little bit of cramp. So I try to focus on balancing my Vata more when I know that my dates are coming. So you guys can also do in that way.
So how to build myself up before coronavirus? Well, get a good night's sleep, because if you're less than 7 hours, your immune system is down about 40%. So don't be stressed. So go relaxed. All the good nourishment that you give yourself is going to always help your health. But what we would probably suggest is that you take a herbal called Amrit Kalash, which is a great tonic for the immune system, and take that for a week or two before you go, and a week or two for about a month over the time you have the injection, because it's to challenge your immune system. And if you have strengthened your immunity, it means you get a better response from the vaccine. And can underactive thyroid be cured? It certainly can be helped, and if it's mild and recent, you could think about in terms of reversing it. If it's very long term or very chronic and quite significant, you can prevent it worsening and make some progress. But I don't know if you'd actually get it totally back to normal. But certainly, you can help the thyroid with Ayurveda.
We'll wait to listen to the Kapha one. So this is more related to Kapha. So when you come to the Kapha lesson, you will understand more about the underactive thyroid. And
So
the
that's next Thursday's Kapha, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Carmel is asking how a Vata person deal with rosacea. Carmel, you must be a Vata Pitta or a Pitta Vata, because rosacea is a very much a Pitta condition. So I presume if you're not eating your meals on time, because rosacea is that anger and that suppression of emotion. So I would say try to eat your main meal middle of the day and have a good sleep. And plus there are wonderful herbs. We have radiant skin and other herbs that we could prescribe. So try these two strategies first and work on that mind.
Maybe focusing on the balancing thing.
Yeah, it's an imbalance in the blood tissue. So it's more your liver and more your, yeah, sometimes I've seen rosacea in women with a lot of suppressed emotions and anger. So that's why I'm saying it.
Fiona concludes she's Vata, and this is the beauty of these seminars because how quickly people recognize themselves. And she points out that whenever she gets imbalanced, she gets anxious, and so she has to try and do one thing at a time. You can do a lot more than that, Fiona. You can just have a routine and a lifestyle which keeps Vata much more settled, and then you won't be so easily thrown out of balance. It's always there's, you know, on this side of the scales there's so much, and on this side of the scales, so there's a lot in life that throws Vata out of balance, like rushing, like strain, like tiredness, like irregular routines, like traveling. And what we want to do is put enough on this side of the scales, and early bed, so a good night's sleep, relaxed meals, nice oil massage, a good meditation. And then even though we're very challenged in life, we're balanced. So it's just to achieve this balance. You can do it, Fiona.
So people are saying, Nahi, do you want to take question?
No, you go ahead, then I'll take the next one.
There's one on the migraine if you want to talk about.
Yeah, I was also about to read that one. So, what dosha imbalance causes migraine, and what can I do about it? I'm suffering from weekly attacks. So, migraine is because of the imbalance in your vata and kapha. So, the pain is because of the vata, and migraine as the day proceeds, as the sun is brighter, the pain will be more. So, you need to focusing on more vata and pitta. You can do that by doing nasya with MP16 oil, and maybe your Ayurvedic doctor can prescribe you some of the pichu. Pichu is a oil maybe based on what problems you're facing to keep it over your scalp, over this part. And there are some herbs which can help you to really reduce the attack of migraines. If you're getting it like weekly, it can really reduce. Maybe sometime if you're just out of balance and you'll get your attack. So try to balance more of a pitta and vata both.
The other thing you could do for migraine, my biggest advice for migraine would be to learn transcendental meditation. And that's talking from experience of lots of people that I've taught TM to over the years with all types of headaches, but particularly with migraine. And if there's a TM center near you, a lot of them are closed at the moment, but I mean, it's a technique for just really calming down the mind and the brain. And it's like migraine to me is a lot of tension there and stress, and it's the system can't handle it all, and it manifests itself in this terrible. I mean, migraine, you really need to do something about that because they're just terrible, really, But meditation, especially transcendental meditation, it might be well worth your while taking a look at that.
Rene's asking, she's 9 months out of chemo and she's lots of joints and muscles that are sore. Any tips? Well, the pain will be Vata, but there's also some what Ayurveda would call ama or toxins there. I think oil massage, hot baths. We probably want to try some detoxing, clearing toxins as well to help clear that up. But yeah, balanced Vata is a good start anyway. Get plenty of rest, do oil massages, have hot baths, and choose maybe the Vata foods. But it's probably something that consultation would progress better than just, the home remedy.
Somebody asking about the coconut oil, good for dry skin. Absolutely, yeah, especially coming to the summer. And Qigong is great for Vata people. It's a wonderful exercise as it's slow and the breath work is involved. So yeah, good for Vata.
So there's a question about are all skin diseases pitta? No, but most of them, in most of the skin diseases, pitta are involved, especially those who are autoimmune related, like psoriasis, like rosacea kind of thing. But there are skin diseases where Vata and Kapha are also involved. Like the skin diseases which have more of a itching kind of sensation, then Kapha is involved. The skin diseases which have more of a drying kind of skin involved, more of a drying and crack, like crack heels or maybe crack palms, they are Vata related.
SP asks, rather than dairy milk, can you mix fruit and, with almond milk or oat milk as a smoothie? Yeah, that'd be fine.
Falling hair is a Vata dosh. No, falling hair is a Pitta dosh. If your hair is gets prematurely gray, or if your hair is very thin and fine, and it falling a lot, then that's a Pitta problem. And as well as a problem that where your first tissue is not forming properly. So the first tissue is rasa. So if you're not digesting your food properly and not making your first dosha, which is rasa properly, then can also be hair fall problem can be there.
Karen, go ahead, Raj.
Just somebody asked about the rock salt for Vata people. As per taste, Vatas are allowed salt because sweet, sour, and salty, good taste for Vata. So normal salt that you put into your food, not more than that. So usually, so I say one or two teaspoons probably be enough. It depends on cooking for the whole family.
Karen says she suffers from congested nose. Karen, stop dairy and see if that helps.
Restless legs could be very Vata, so try the massage.
There's a question about I get bloated easily and have tummy cramps. Are there any specific foods I shouldn't eat as a Vata? So, Sophie, you need to really look into your diet. Which diet is making you feel more bloated? It can be either some of the legumes or lentils if you're not cooking them properly, if you're not adding required amount of spices to digest your lentils and legumes properly, or it can be certain vegetables, like for some people it can be cauliflower, it can be broccoli, it can be cabbage. So it depends what are you eating. So you need to see, you make your diet chart, what are you eating in a day. And if you find yourself more bloated in a day than the other day, that means there is something on that day which is not going with your body.
So Jackie's having a slump after her lunch, and she's two young children, 5 and 2 years. Well, Jackie, each delivery is a huge Vata event, and two young children is after two massive Vata events when you should have been nice and rested and cosseted for a month or two after each delivery. You weren't, so your Vata went out. And now the best thing you could possibly do is get at least 8 hours sleep every night, if the 2-year-old will let you. But that'll be your quickest way back to getting your full energies back. So
We are just still looking. Reason for cold sensation in the body is this Vata. Yes, Sushmita, Vata people could be very cold, but they're more cold on the extremities than the whole body. So depends on, maybe you need to nourish yourself better if you're feeling cold sensation in the whole body. So you could be a very Vata Kapha person. So Dr. Nahid has advised to Sophie ajwain seeds for tummy cramps.
No, for bloating stomach. For bloating stomach.
Bloating or tummy cramps. She said both is fine. For both conditions, ajwain seeds are fine.
Did you read that Sala's comment? I think it's very appropriate to the day.
Yeah.
You read it out, did we? Okay.
No, we didn't read it.
Okay.
I just commented. I just said well done to her. But you can read it out.
Yes, and this is like, just shows what you can do when you listen to these simple suggestions. Vatsala says, thank you, Noel, Dr. Raj, Dr. Nahid, Dr. Brennan. I'm a Vata. And following the Ayurveda courses, I've taken on advice for the types of food to take in, meditation, walking in the woods, sesame oil massage, and I feel fantastic. I have not managed to eat at regular times, but I'm working on it. And it just goes to show it's all the balance. You don't have to get absolutely everything perfect, but you have to get enough. And when you're balanced, you know it because you feel great.
Yeah, that's great. That, and just simple things, really, isn't it? Like, simple things, just
Okay, so
walking in
thanks
the
for
mud.
that experience, Vatsala.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope she's not getting any more migraine headaches. That's what she was getting. I think she's doing much better there.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple little things that can make such a big, big difference. Like, I mean, the maintenance, eating your main meal in the middle of the day, getting to bed on time is hugely important. Actually, Dr. Brennan has a video on sleep on our YouTube channel that everybody should go and look. It's a 30-minute long video on the power of sleep and what happens when you sleep and how incredibly important it is for your health to get a good night's sleep and all the very valuable things that go on there. So even if you get some of the basics right, the sleep, the eating of the food, just avoid processed foods and all that sort of stuff, that you can nearly take that for granted. Even those things, without having to buy expensive herbs or any herbs or go for panchakarma or any of these things, make a huge difference to your health. Make a huge difference to your health. I think nearly, Dr. Brennan, you once said people spend their whole lives working on making themselves unhealthy.
Yeah, absolutely. And then they get fiercely upset and they're amazed when they actually when they're told they have to work for their health. They have to actually do something for their health.
So they're working for their ill health, but they're not so happy to work for their health.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
There is a very nice comment from Fiona. Thank you, Dr. John. When I first started these courses, think it's my third time now. Noel said that the more you do these courses, the more you learn and start to understand the different dosha. And he is right. I am recognizing certain traits and how to try and balance my vata. Thank you all for your wise advices and for you all giving up your time to this courses, for this courses.
Beautiful.
very good. Very good.
Noel is always right. Moral of the story, Noel is always right.
Thanks very much, Dr. Naheed. Yeah. I'm not too sure about that one either, but I'll take it anyway, Carola.
You have to give us all a rise after that.
Sorry?
You'll have to give us all a rise.
I have to give you all a rise, yeah. Yeah. Is that what you're angling for? Oh, no. It's time to end. No. How much rock salt should a Vata person eat a day? Well, the interesting thing about rock salt is that it's I think, what is it, about 76, Dr. Rajvinder is the food expert, about 76 minerals.
76 different minerals, yeah. Microminerals.
It's a salty taste, but it's not just full of salt. It's full of all sorts of other things that are very, very good for you. And yeah, sweet, sour, salty, I think.
How much would you recommend?
Oh, well, I wouldn't overdo it, but like I would use, I love the flavor that rock salt adds to soups. I really, really love the flavor, and the fact that it's only a small portion of it is salt, means I'd use a fair pinch of salt on my meals. But I mean, it would generally just be the midday meal that I'd use it on. But I wouldn't be using teaspoonfuls of it or anything like that. Just a pinch or 2 pinches of it on the thing.
So overall for the day, for myself, depends on if you're eating 2 meals, which is your lunch and dinner, and you put roughly maybe 1 teaspoon goes in both meals, half, depends on the portion. And so it should be tasty enough to your taste buds, but you're not overdoing it exactly.
Yeah.
And rock salt doesn't only give you taste in the food, it also helps to digest your food. It also helps to balance your vata.
Very hydrating for the whole system.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely, it's something I use every day, really, Well, I use all the spices every day in when I'm cooking the meal in the middle of the day, but I don't fry the rock salt in the ghee or anything like that. I just put it on afterwards. I don't fry it in anything. I just add it to the meal when it's cooked, and just for extra taste, and it's really, really nice,
But
Sorry.
with everything, you don't go overboard, because it's also said that salt can cause aging. So you use it in moderation.
That's like people using too much salt in the pickles and the miso, and the other salt is used as a preservative in a lot of frozen foods, canned food. So that's what you avoid.
Yeah.
If you're using, like Noel said, rock salt, Himalayan salt, that's a more healthier form of salt. But again, use it wisely.
Yeah. Catherine.
We used to have a rock, sorry.
Oh no, Rahid, go ahead.
Maharishi Ayurveda, we sell rock salt.
Right? Someone is asking.
Sorry?
Someone is asking about the rock salt. We used to have one rock salt in our website.
Yeah, I got a whole big shipment of it in from India, so it's there on the website, rock salt. It's not even expensive. Yeah, it's there. Just put, if anyone's looking for anything on our website, there's an awful lot of stuff on it. So just use the search bar on the homepage and just put in whatever it is you're looking for. And ideally, don't use it on a phone. Use it on a laptop or whatever, or a computer. But just put rock salt in the search bar and it'll come up.
Catherine wants to sea swim again, even though she's Vata. Well, we're into the pitta season now in May, Catherine. So in you go, enjoy your swim.
And that's because Dr. Brennan got in the other day. You see, now he's encouraging everybody.
But no, but she's saying, should I push myself? So I would say like what you were saying, alternate day. So not every day and a short dip. That's what you do as a Vata.
Yeah, until you get used to it, until the water warms up, and when the water warms up, then you could probably stay in longer.
Yeah, because your body need time to heat up again. Probably need 2 days to recover.
Yeah, so be self-referral on everything, on this and on everything. Like if you come out of the swim and you're freezing for an hour or two afterwards, that's not good. That's absolutely not good. Like I got in swimming the other day as well, and it was cold, but you know, within 10 minutes of getting out, I was back to normal again, you know. But if you're very Vata and you're suffering an hour later or 2 hours later, then you'd have to consider, you know, the length of time you stay in for, and really dry yourself off really, really well when you get back out, so that you know, you're not down.
Because with that, there was a core coldness that took 2 days to be gone after the second swim that I had, even though I only stayed in a short time. And it just told me, you know, just wait another few weeks till the summer's and the sun is well up, and I'll go in again. Noel has me booked in for Wednesday of next week.
Yeah. Well, the water will be maybe a degree warmer by then, you know, so it'll be a little bit easier, you know. Sure, probably 9 or 10 degrees at the moment, but it'll get up to 14, so it won't be too bad. Sorry, Dr. Richmond.
I was taking a question from Murray. She asked a question about premenstrual dysphoric disorder and what can we advise. That a lot could be done there, Murray. That's a lot of anxiety and especially the mind issue that comes around the cycle. And there are a couple of herbs we can advise you, which I don't think appropriate to advise here while we don't know you very well. So, but there are diet tips, lifestyle tips that you can work on, and this is a strong Vata imbalance. So you're definitely looking to managing your Vata better, especially in the mid-cycle around the ovulation before the bleeding. So I would say consider doing a session with one of us, or if any other Ayurvedic practitioner you know, you will get a lot of wonderful advice and you can easily manage it.
There's thanks, Doctor. A nice comment from Denise. She said, I started eating my main meal in the middle of the day and find I have way more energy. So there you are, proof of the pudding. And Catherine McGinn says, great, thanks, love this course. First heard about this when doing my Indian massage through lockdown. So Indian head massage. So fantastic. Send us in your email, Catherine. We'll keep you in mind. We used to do the course. We used to do the we used to go to the RDS for these shows twice a year in the spring and the autumn. And one of the things we offered was Indian head massage. It was nearly a way of paying for the stand that we had. And we used to have a few different, Dr. Rajinder used to do it, and we had a few different people doing it. I think I even joined in one year myself and did it. And we had a few different people doing Indian head massage. People love it. There's something really nice about having oil massaged into your head, and people just love it, you know. So you never know. I'm not sure we'll be doing any of them in the near future, but you never know.
Kennedy asked, is rheumatoid arthritis Vata? It is, Kitty, and it's also AMA, or digestive disturbances, which we'll talk about in the last talk of the series, the 6th talk.
And we have a whole webinar on arthritis on our website, a whole webinar on all the different forms of arthritis that the 3 doctors did. We did it last year, you know, I think it's about 2 hours long, so it's very, very informative.
So Watsla is saying she has no headache from last 2 months. Well done, great. Happy to hear that, Watsla.
Brilliant, well done.
Good one, good woman.
Someone had a Shiradara treatment today. Oh my God. That's just beautiful. Shiradara is, you normally have an Abhyanga, a body massage beforehand, but then you lie on the bed and it's a copper pot, or can be a copper pot with warm oil, and there's a stream of oil poured onto your forehead. And then the technician can move it over and back across your head as well. And it just sends you into 7th heaven. Very good for that lady that was having migraine. That could be very, very beneficial for her to help. It's really beautiful, beautiful treatment. beautiful treatment. Not sure where you got that done. I mean, I don't think there's anywhere open at the moment in Ireland doing that. But Dr. Rajvinder and Dr. Naheed do those treatments as well, but not at the moment, obviously, you know.
Trevor asked
Yeah.
what particular aspect of the Vata balancing tips are recommended for dry skin. Oil massage.
No, maybe you can answer the Carmel's question. What Pitta likes to eat? Which dosha likes to eat cakes? That's Dermot asking, she said.
All the doshas like to eat cakes. Yeah.
Pitta likes to eat.
Yeah. Yeah, no, cakes, well, sweet. Yeah, it's sweet. It's good for settling Vata. I think it's actually good for settling Pitta as well, you know. So probably bad for not so great for Kapha. But yeah, but again, it's in moderation. Like, personally speaking, what I love, I don't really like really heavy processed cakes, but I absolutely adore fresh cream cakes. And there's a restaurant in Drogheda called the Moorland, and it's a bakery, and they do their own fresh cream cakes. And there's nothing. I have a friend, he's a TM teacher in Mexico, and he comes home, and the first thing we do when he gets
Two of them.
is we head to the coffee shop for the fresh cream cakes. He loves them as well, you know. So it's funny. It's about being self-referral as well. Like, I never feel any heaviness or any indigestion or anything if I eat a fresh cream cake. I never feel anything. I just feel I just feel really, really good, you know. Whereas if I ate something like even a carrot cake with heavy icing on it, or you know, any sort of a synthetic false cream, like a cake that had that synthetic cream in it, I wouldn't feel good after it. I wouldn't enjoy it, and I wouldn't feel good after it. So, you know, but I'm saying I eat one. I don't eat. You know, I don't.
Sophie's saying, bloody hell, I want a cream cake. Stop talking
Run
about
out for one, Sophie. Can you get me
There
one?
are people on the detox as well, so no talk about cake.
Oh yeah, well, I had to go off cream cakes for a week. All right, yeah. I know I could go weeks without eating one, but then I just.
No, probably the others, they can't resist them. After the course, everyone looking for a cake.
Yeah. Well, it's too late though. Depending on where you are, it's probably too late.
You're
Okay.
being cruel now to anybody who's on that fast, no, that week's detox. You're being very cruel at the moment.
Yeah, well, it's good because you see, it'll get their digestive juices going, and then they'll be eating more, you know. So.
Well, Mayal asks, is a vitamin B2 deficient, vitamin B12 deficiency a Vata condition? I think you're right, because it does affect the nervous system. It's a very Vata thing. But you know, make sure that you have your vitamin B supplements if you're tending towards deficiency. It's too important to miss. Anyone who's vegetarian should have their vitamin B12 checked every year or so, just to be sure they're not getting low. And
One thing
Sorry, Naheed, go ahead.
Yeah, so one thing I wanted to add regarding the cake. So if any recipe of the cake contains milk and salt in that, because I've seen in many recipes of the cake that they add salt, a pinch of, or maybe a 2 pinch of salt, and they also add milk in that. So avoid that recipe, because as per Ayurveda, milk and salt together forms an incompatible combination of food. And some cake recipes also add buttermilk and milk together. So try to avoid all these recipes. So if you can make your cake, you can bake your cake without salt or without buttermilk and milk mixing together, then that's fine. You can enjoy, you can treat yourself.
I'm just thinking about the salt, you know. People used to have goiters, especially in Ireland. I remember as a young child, a lady who had and the solution to the thyroid problems that arose from lack of iodine was to add iodine to salt. So table salt has iodine added. Sea salt would naturally have iodine in it, as do seafoods. But if you're not getting any iodine in your salt and you're not having any seafoods, just be aware of a possible need to have iodine.
Somebody said they have a dry skin and they're putting oil, but it's not going in. I suggest you to do a bit of dry brushing. You can use the bath mitts, and sometimes it's the dead skin that's on the surface, and that not letting the oil to be absorbed. So do that once a week and then try the oil again. So hopefully that will help, because especially after 50, 60, the skin get a bit flaky. So you need to remove the dead skin.
Cam asked, what's the best treatment for hiatus hernia? Cam, make sure you don't have your big meal in the evening, because there'll still be food in your stomach going to bed, and then the pressure is upwards on that weak valve at the top of the stomach, and then the regurgitation comes. There is a herbal acid balance, taking 2 tablets after meals twice a day, that could be helpful to get things moving in the right direction, downwards, and to ease any acidity. And Avril asks, have you any remedy for muscle spasms in the neck? It's a Vata condition. And I mean, why are you getting muscle spasms in the neck? It may be that you're a little bit out of alignment and need that seen to. But certainly the oil massage. And if you get the spasm, there's an inhalation oil, which is a brilliant oil to have in the house, because it's useful as a rub for any muscle cramps or pains, or as well as useful for any sinus inhalation, any stuffed nose. So I'd rub on the inhalation oil if I was getting a spasm, if it were sore pain.
Mary is saying she can digest or absorb nutrients. That's very much Vata, Mary. So I think you better consider again talking to one of us, because you need to kind of adjust your diet and change your diet a bit. But one thing is you can start cooking with the ghee, a little bit with the ghee, that will help.
So there's a few questions in. People, when I mentioned about the Shiradara, are asking about where they can get Ayurvedic treatment. So in Ireland at the moment, I don't think anywhere is the answer, but Dr. Ritvinder and Dr. Naheed do those treatments when we're out of lockdown. In the UK now, there's a fantastic place in Skelmersdale, which is outside of Liverpool. There's a Maharishi Ayurveda clinic that I've been to many, many times over the years. Now, not for a while, but God, the technicians there are just unbelievably well trained. Unbelievably well trained. I would say it's one of the best Ayurvedic clinics in Europe, actually, you know. It's what's it called on the Maharishi Ayurveda Health Centre, is that?
Yes.
Peace Palace.
Skelmersdale.
In Skelmersdale. Now, there may be a place in Rendlesham as well, which I believe is in the south of the UK. I'm not sure if they have, if they're doing treatments down there, but certainly in Skelmersdale, there is a clinic. And actually what they do is they can give you accommodation as well. There's local people that live in, and they rent out their rooms to people who go up there for treatments. And you can do Panchakarma 5 days, or you can go for a one-day wonder and things like that. But I'm sure there must be places in London as well there. I'm sure there has to be places that you can do it, but just I'm familiar with that one in Skelmersdale, and it's
following on that, there's a question about trustworthy Ayurveda practitioners in the London area. There is an association, Ayurveda Practitioners Association, that would have a list. Ayurveda Practitioners Association.
The APA, yeah.
And thank you, Chandrika, for all those claps, making us feel very good. I love it. Really decorated. I think it's the most decorated chat I've ever seen, all the time.
Okay, so there must be a centre in Rendlesham, because someone's saying the best place to go, given you're in Essex, is the centre at Rendlesham. So there must be a centre in an Ayurvedic centre in Rendlesham. So yeah, okay, we're getting very close to the edge here, or to the end.
Thanks, Bridget Production, for your nice comment. That's what we do. It the fulfillment of seeing you getting better and better.
So there's Deirdre Eustace said, had Panchakarma in Skelmersdale last October, fabulous. And I stayed over in the centre. The folk were wonderful. Yeah, no, it's a great place to go to do. They really know what they're doing. They really, really know what they're doing. So it's a great place to go. Okay, everybody. So we have a bank holiday weekend coming up. So have, the May bank holiday weekend. So we're starting into summer. We'll be moving into the Pitta season. And actually, in fact, Pitta is the next dosha we talk about. So Pitta is fire and water. It's made up of the 5 elements: earth, air, fire, water, and space. And then Pitta is fire. Today we did Vata, which is air and space, and the qualities around that. And Pitta is made up of fire and water. So what does that do in the body? What's it responsible for? And if a person has a lot of Pitta in them, what's the characteristics of that? And if a person has their Pitta way out of balance, what's the characteristics of that? You can read about it on our website, on where I sent the links to you. But we'll be going through all of that then next Tuesday at 7:30. So have a fabulous weekend. do a little bit of reading, go to the website, look up, do the dosha test, or do a little bit of reading about Pitta, and get yourself a book on Ayurveda. I don't know, maybe in the UK the bookshops are opening again, so there's lots of different books out there. Just buy a book on Ayurveda and have a little read of it. It doesn't really matter which one, once it's, you know, obviously there's different ones out there, but just, you know, the basic ones will be great. They'll start telling you about Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and you can, the more and more you learn about this, the more you recognize it, and the more you can start to put it into good use to have a long and healthy life, you know. Okay, unless the doctors have any final comments.
Just thanks everybody for their nice comments, and you know, looking forward to seeing you next Tuesday.
Yes, next Tuesday. Thanks, Dr. Naheed, for coming on. I hope you're safe and sound in India there, and you get back to us soon. And Dr. Rajvinder, thank you very much. And we shall see everybody. Namaste, everybody. And thank you, Minya, for coming along. And have a great weekend. Bye, everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.